Centuries ago, in the lush countryside of rural England, there stood a quaint village named Willowbrook. Its cobblestone streets wound past cottages with smoke curling from chimneys, and at the edge of town lived a farmer named Arthur and his wife, Margaret. The couple was known for their diligence, Arthur with his sun-weathered hands tending the fields, and Margaret with her sharp wit managing their home. Their pride was their stone cellar, stocked with sacks of wheat and barley, a fortress against the harsh winters that gripped the land. One spring, relentless rains turned the soil to mud. The cellar, usually dry, began to seep water. Margaret, her apron stained with clay from patching cracks, turned to Arthur and said,
"This damp will ruin our stores. The walls are crumbling. We must rebuild the cellar before summer."
Arthur, wiping sweat from his brow after a day's labor, shook his head.
"The rains will pass. Rebuilding now would take weeks, and the planting season waits for no one. We'll lose more grain to delay than to a little damp."
Margaret hesitated but relented. By midsummer, the cellar dried and the fields flourished. Their harvest was so abundant that the cellar overflowed.
"We'll feast like kings this winter."
Arthur laughed, clasping Margaret's hand. But autumn brought storms. When the couple opened the cellar door, their joy turned to dismay. The grain sacks, once plump, lay shrunken and sparse. Arthur's face darkened.
"You've been sneaking into the stores. While I toiled, you gorged like a thief."
Margaret's eyes widened.
"I've not touched a grain. Could it not be rats, or the dampness compressing the sacks? Think, Arthur, why would I betray our future?"
But Arthur, pride sharp as a scythe, pointed to the door.
"Go. I'll not share my roof with a liar."
"You'll rue this haste,"
she whispered, vanishing into the stormy night. Days later, sunlight returned. Arthur revisited the cellar and froze. The grain had swelled, filling every corner. The autumn rains had rehydrated the compacted kernels, restoring their bulk. Guilt clawed at him. He searched for Margaret, but she was gone. Lost to the wilds, villagers whispered, or worse, to bandits who prowled the forest roads. Arthur lived out his years alone, the cellar's shadow a constant reminder. A moment's anger had cost him a lifetime of love. All right, let's dig into this. Why does this 17th century farmer's mistake matter to us? First, snap judgments. Arthur didn't just accuse Margaret, he convicted her. No questions, no proof. Sound familiar? Ever blamed a coworker for a missed deadline before checking their side? Or assumed a friend forgot your birthday out of spite? We're all guilty of filling gaps in knowledge with our worst fears. Second, pride versus humility. Arthur's downfall wasn't just anger, it was his refusal to doubt himself. Psychologists call this cognitive rigidity, the inability to adapt when facts change. Ever dug in your heels during an argument only to realize later you were wrong? That's Arthur's legacy. His pride cost him Margaret. Third, the science of perception. Grain does expand with moisture, a neat metaphor for how reality can deceive us. Arthur saw half empty and assumed theft, not nature. How often do we misread situations because we lack context? A partner working late isn't neglectful. They might be planning a surprise. A quiet friend isn't rude. They might be grieving. The kicker? Regret. Arthur's story isn't just about blame. It's about the irreversible consequences of haste. Unlike fairy tales, there's no magic fix here. Margaret doesn't return. The lesson? Pause, breathe, ask. A little curiosity could have saved their marriage. So next time you're ready to accuse, ask yourself, what don't I know? It might just save a relationship or your peace of mind. If you felt that twist in Arthur's tale, hit like and subscribe for more stories where history meets heartache. Let me know in the comments. What would you have done in Margaret's shoes? Forgiveness? A fiery comeback? I'm all ears. And remember, folks, life's too short for hasty judgments. Until next time, keep your mind open and your heart kinder.